guys, welcome back to another lesson from Arts Cool Media. My name is Gavin O'Donnell and I'll be taking you through this lesson. We're going to be drawing the racehorse Invincible Spirit today, so I'll just take a look at our reference first. So this is what I'll be drawing, and we'll put that to the side for the moment, and we'll take a look at the drawing aid now. So with step 1, we're going to be using the square and diamond. We're going to be drawing them in first, and they'll be our register marks, and then we'll line up the squares in step 2 and then the diamonds in step 3, and then you draw in the other elements as we do this, and I'll show you how to do that. So if you'd like to line up your drawing aid a couple of inches down from the top of the page, I'm going to take a light pencil. It's a 3H pencil, 2HB, whatever you have, and then just draw in the register marks carefully and make sure you hold down your stencil nice and firm. Once you have the squares and diamonds drawn in, then we'll draw in the body of the horse. And just take your time doing this, there's no rush on it. And don't lean too hard on the pencil either, because we can go back over our lines later on. So you should be left with something like that. So now we'll line up our 2 squares for step 2. Get these as accurate as possible, it's very important that you do this. And then draw in the elements in step 2. So now with step 3, we are going to line up our 2 diamonds. Again, get these as accurate as possible and draw in the last 2 elements. So this is what you should be left with. Once you have this, you can then move on into the drawing. So I'm just going to start off with the head area. We're just going to start off with the easier parts first, and we'll work our way back up the head. So I'm just getting the curve of the jaw and the line of the mouth in first, and then we'll take a look at the nostril. So I've cut my paper down to size so we can fit the reference into the video as well. I'm just sketching in the nostril area. Make sure your pencils are nice and sharp for this, because we're working in quite a small area. And I'm just going to get this line that goes up along the front of the head, get all those little curves in there. So just with the nostril then, we have just on the rim of the nostril, that's going to be nice and bright, and then we've got a darker part within the nostril. So just make sure you leave that little white space, like so. And then I'm just going to work in some shading then on the bottom of the mouth here. If you make any of the areas too dark, just get your eraser and lighten them up a bit. So I'm going to work on the ears now. We've got 2 little pointy triangular shapes. The ear at the front is blocking out the majority of the ear at the back, so just make sure you show that. And then we've got this line that comes down and links up with the eye. There's a few other lines here on the cheekbone. So I'm just working out where all these lines are first before I sketch the eye in, just to make that part a little bit easier. So you can just see where I did this kind of zigzag shape along where the drawing aid gave us the little line, and then I'm building the eye off that. My eye was a little bit too thick, so I'm going to make it a bit skinnier and a bit thinner as well shortly. And then we've got the eyelid underneath, and another little lid at the top. So make sure you don't forget those. Now I'm working on the back of the horse's head, and you can just see the line that I put in there. That's just leave that little gap where the mane is, where the hair on his back is. Now I'm just coming in with my mechanical pencil on the eye. I'm just going to darken it up very slightly and make it a bit more defined. Got another sort of triangular shape here at the neck, and that curves on down. And then this line of the leg goes straight up and leaves a little shape sticking out for the horse's chest. So I'm just looking back and forth for my reference all the time, just to make life a bit easier. How you'll get a more accurate copy of what you're trying to draw. And just keep repeating this process, just keep looking back and forth from your reference and starting off with a light shade, getting the shapes right first. So you can just see the way I'm working up the leg. I just do a small line at a time, and I'm looking back and forth from the reference quite a bit. Same for the outside of the leg. Getting all these little shapes and curves in. The drawing aid doesn't have the exact curve, so you need to work them out yourself. And then this big muscle here at the top of the leg. I'm just going to erase out some of those lines that the drawing aid gave us. We don't need them anymore. And then down the bottom at the hoof here, that curves out and it's a little bit wider than what we have. Again, the other one's a little bit wider. Back leg, let's get the general shape of that in. I'm going to add some shading now. And then down at the bottom of the horse is going to be darker. So I'm just getting all these shapes and the little curves of the muscles in first, and then we can come back later and darken up some areas if we need to. So it's a good idea if you guys want to do this, just get a light pencil and just work in all the areas first, and then come back later with a darker pencil, sharpen things up and give things a higher contrast. So up on the neck there we've got a lot of little tricky shapes, so just make sure you take your time again with that. I've sped this up a little bit more now, so I'm not actually drawing at this speed. I'm just going to move my drawing over to the left here because we're going to be working on the rest of the horse's body. So yeah, move your drawing around as you need to, make it more comfortable for yourself. And I'm just going to take a look at this back leg and work in the bottom and then to the back line of the leg. Again, you kind of have to figure out, there's a few little different curves and bumps that the drawing aid doesn't give us, so don't just completely copy the line, just watch out for those little bumps that the horse has. And sketching a few bits of the grass, just where the shadow of Invincible Spirit is. Again, same process for this leg, working out those little bumps. And then his hoof disappears down into the grass. I'm taking my mechanical pencil now and I'm just going to darken up the back of this leg. And the front as well. My leg was a little bit too thin, so I took my pencil eraser and erased out part of the leg, just to make it a tiny bit wider. Again, I'm just working in these lines, parts of the tail here that are a bit darker. The lead in the mechanical pencil is about 2B, so you can use with a 2B pencil either. Or if you have darker, 3B, 4B, whatever you have. So I'm just tightening up some things now and adding some more shades and blending a bit more. I'm just working out where this bit of shading at the stomach is. It's like a C shape that's been rotated, just that little white negative space there. Just make sure you get that in. And then we've got another little sort of C shape here, just kind of up at the top of the horse. And I'm just giving a light wash to the rest of the horse then. And I've got my pencil tilted when I'm doing this, so just watch out for that. If you like to tilt your pencil when you're doing it, it's quite a nice thing. Again, I've got my pencil tilted with my 2H, just sketching in these grassy bits. And just make sure you don't do the shadow too thick. It's a very thin. It's just very thin, so just watch out for that. So I've come in with my darker pencil now, and I'm just going to darken up a few spots. And now I've got a 4B, and I'm darkening up some more spots here, just around the neck and the ears and the mane. So for this part, a nice little trick is to squint your eyes and look at your reference and look back at your drawing, and you can pick out what areas look really dark. It makes it a little bit easier. So I'm just darkening up this back leg, some of the tail, down the hoof, a few bits of the grass. and just give it one more little wash. But yeah, that's more or less it, guys. When you're finished, you can push this a little bit further, but for me this is as far as I'm going to take it. So make sure you erase out your squares and diamonds when you're finished, and be sure to sign your name also. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.